I'm Shane Coolball, and this is my co-host Samantha Fulham, and we're here with our guest today, Aryanna Berringer, who is running for Lieutenant Governor this year. So how are you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good. Was it a long trip for you here?
It was only about 3 hours, so not too bad.
Not too bad.
Yeah.
Awesome.
A beautiful day, so can't complain.
Right? It's got a lot more sunlight than we've been getting,
Yeah.
so that's awesome. So our standard question that we ask everybody is, what does being a Democrat mean to you?
Yeah, so I watched your video, so I know.
Yeah.
I was kind of like ready for that one.
Yeah, we were YouTube researching each other last night.
You know, being a Democrat for me is more than just policy, right? I think I was a Democrat before I knew I was a Democrat. Yeah. Growing up poor and growing up relying on the programs that Democrats have long been champions for, it is one where, as an adult, I go, of course I am, right? Of course I am, because if it weren't for food stamps or free lunch at school, like, I wouldn't have had a meal most days. So I'm a Democrat. It means to me living the values, right? And because I've lived these values, it has kind of shaped who I am. Yeah. So it's more than just like checking a box when you vote. It's just who I am. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So I grew up the youngest of 10.
Wow.
I know. I have a twin brother who's the...
You're never lonely.
Never. Ever. And now I've got 3 kids, so I'm still never alone or lonely. But, I grew up the youngest of 10 and in a family that lived well below the poverty line, right? So things like free lunch and food banks and nonprofits were really vital to making sure that we had enough. And I learned at that time that though we didn't have a whole lot, it was still incumbent upon us to give back. So 2 months after 9/11, I enlisted in the United States Army, 18-year-old kid, and had a pretty healthy understanding that I'd be heading into war, right? And so that also kind of shaped who I am.
Yeah. And
when I got out, I moved here to Pennsylvania, northeastern PA, and I worked as an electronics technician, joined my union, and my union protected me when I was pregnant with my first child, so that was really huge for me. And I kind of just continued to grow my career and have some kids and get an education. I have a bachelor's degree and 2 master's degrees.
Wow.
And
where did you study?
So I actually studied online, because as you're working full-time
Oh,
and then trying to raise a family, there's just not enough hours in the day.
Yeah.
And actually now it's so much more common for kids or people to go to school online. Back when I was doing it was like, oh, online school, like, what's that?
Yeah.
So I'm at this cusp of, being a millennial.
Yeah.
I was like kind of the start of the millennial generation.
Yeah.
And so a lot of those things that everybody takes for granted today was very new when I was growing up. So
That's interesting,
yeah.
So what inspired you to run for Lieutenant Governor?
For me, it was a matter of recognizing that there's always been just 2 types of people that typically run.
Yeah.
We usually get the kind that's looking for higher office, that is really just out there to get their name out there and be on the ballot again, so they really don't take the office seriously.
Yeah.
They're not worried about putting their neck on the line because they know that, well, I've got another election ahead. I got to be careful about what I do.
Yeah.
Or we have one that kind of goes there and is like, all right, I'm at the end of my career. This would be a really great, last thing for me to do. And so we don't get someone who typically runs for lieutenant governor that's like, I want to change that office.
Yeah.
I want to make it do more. I want it to be something that we can have a champion, that we can champion the governor's agenda without fear of my next election.
Yeah.
And be one that kind of is more boots on the ground, more revitalized, something that people can look at it and go, actually, we do need a lieutenant governor.
Yeah.
Here's why. And oh, look, now the bar's set here. Every lieutenant governor that comes after me is going to have to at least do that.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, especially people our age, don't even know that lieutenant governor is a position, elected off. I
can't tell you. So I've campaigned now, and I think you guys are my 39th county that I've campaigned in. And I can't tell you how many people who are actively involved in Democratic politics don't recognize the lieutenant governor is elected separately in the primary and then become a ticket into November, or even what the duties are, constitutionally. So it's been an educational process along the way too, which, I have fun with and get to talk about. So I think it's cool.
Yeah.
So you have previously publicly voiced your opinion for legalizing and taxing marijuana.
Yeah.
Why do you think that this is a good move for PA?
I mean, personally, I look at legalization and decriminalization, for that matter, as just a smart move for the people of Pennsylvania, right? Like, I've told this story about my dad being arrested for a marijuana charge when I was 10. And the impact that had to our family and our ability to pull ourselves out of poverty, which we weren't able to do because he couldn't get work afterwards. So that conviction followed him. And it's one of those things where you're like, it's marijuana. Not only can it, you know, we've approved it medically in so many states, it's now recreational in so many other states, and they're reaping the benefit of the tax dollars of that.
And ruining people's lives.
Right, exactly. I mean, I look at this and go, yes, there is this whole tax issue where we can, you know, really generate funds for our Commonwealth, but there's this whole other, like, impact to people that oftentimes gets overlooked because as politicians, we don't really typically elect people who have come from the backbone of our party. That have come from where I've come from. I should be generations away. My family should be generations away from ever running for public office. But here I am, and I'm doing it because I think that it's important that we have these values have a seat at the table. And so I think legalizing marijuana not only just makes a smart move for the impact to everyday people's lives, but we can actually take the tax funds from that and fund programs. I mean, if the Republicans in Washington don't want to fund CHIP, this is a really great way. I mean, we here in Pennsylvania founded CHIP. We were the founders of the CHIP program. Alan Kukovich from Westmoreland County and Allison Schwartz, two progressive Democrats, taxed tobacco and got Republicans all to agree to fund children's health care. Let's do it again, right? Let's tax marijuana and let's fund CHIP. If Donald Trump's not going to do it, let's do it. Let's do it again in Pennsylvania and lead the way and show other states how they can then do it too.
I feel like she's echoing our exact same. Because we watched that video about your father this morning.
Oh, okay.
And then we had the exact same discussion, pretty much.
It just makes sense.
Logical, you know.
Right. There are still some Democrats in the party who are in office now or seeking office who are still hesitant, and it's really hard for me to understand anymore. I don't really see why. It's such a taboo. I'm not sure if it's a.
I mean, I do think that there definitely needs to be a new generation of leadership.
Yes.
Whether it's in Pennsylvania, nationwide, because let's be honest here. In Alabama, who won that election for Doug Jones? Young people and black women. Yet we do not elect either to office ever. I mean, Pennsylvania has never elected a person of color to executive office in our history. So technically, I would be the first. I would be the first person of color ever elected to executive office in Pennsylvania. I look at that and go,
that's exciting yet it's sad.
Exactly. Like, why has it taken us so long? It shouldn't be that way. And so I think that we, as the backbone that continues to carry this party, whether it's in Alabama or it's in Virginia or it's in New Jersey, like, we deserve a seat at that table. We deserve to be a part of that process. We should be nominating folks who look like us and who represent us, because guess what? The population's going to get excited about the fact that here, Pennsylvania, we're doing it. So
let's lead by example.
Exactly.
So what is one issue you feel really strongly about besides this that you would like to change if elected?
Here's the thing. I look at this and go, gosh, in my mind, I've been a huge champion for things like $15 minimum wage.
Yes.
Having a waitress as a mom who would have to bust her butt just to try to make ends meet and still not be able to do it. I mean, there should be no term called the working poor. That should not exist, but it very much does. So I think about all these things that have made me who I am. All of the inequalities that people face every day, and I go, okay, that's what drives me. That will be the foundation of the way I lead and the way that I govern. And yet I still look at all of the policies and programs that we can be doing, right? And I think that's the other part of running for lieutenant governor. We can't just say, yes, we champion these ideas. We have to back it up, right? We have to back it up with good policy. And so that's why I said we've got to back up legalization with a good policy that sits behind it, because then that's how we bring people together. So one of the issues that I've been championing for a very long time that I think we really can make a difference in Pennsylvania is taxing shale and then using the funds from that. I mean, Governor Wolf had it right in 2014 that we should be using that money to fund schools. but let's be transparent about it and let's fund our school nutrition programs.
Yeah.
Let's put that money back into the pockets of Pennsylvanians. So when we do that, we can, so the statistic is $500 million right now goes towards our school nutrition programs. Mm-hmm. Only 3% of that goes to local farmers in Pennsylvania.
Wow.
So they are already missing out on so much. So let's tax shale and let's say, okay, schools, you want a part of that money, you've got to then use your procurement dollars to buy locally sourced food from your local farmers.
To invest back into your community.
Exactly.
Because that's how it works.
Right,
really.
that's how it works, and that's how communities see grow and see revitalization. They say for every $1 that we spend on locally sourced food, we're putting $2.13 back into local economies. Yeah. So it's an economic boom.
It's a no-brainer.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer. So as Lieutenant Governor, you've got to not just agree with policies, you've got to also bring something to the table too. Yeah.
Which kind of leads into our next question.
Okay.
How would you lead differently than current Lieutenant Governor Mike Stack?
It's about respect.
Yeah.
Everyone's heard the reports around the abuse allegations of his house staff and, state police. And I look at that and I'm ashamed.
Yeah.
Like, my mom was a waitress. My dad was a maintenance worker. And the people that the Stacks abused are my family, right? That's a respect issue. Mm-hmm. And as a leader, you need to have respect for everyone. And as a Democrat, that's just plain and simple not who we are. That's not what we represent. When you ask that very first question about what being a Democrat means, it definitely means sticking up for the little guy, right? Sticking up for the people like my mom, and dad, for that matter. And so it's definitely, for me, more about respect, more about treating other people the way that you want to be treated, and that's how I'd lead differently, for sure.
Well, that's very significant. So what is one piece of advice you'd like to offer the millennial generation?
So,
well, you're offering a little bit of advice to yourself,
right? Yeah,
but
I mean, it's get involved, right? It is. Look, we all know that there's this stigma about our generation that is one of, they're lazy, they don't do anything, they have no drive, they've been coddled their whole entire lives. Guess what? That's wrong.
Yeah,
right.
We haven't been
I
coddled.
don't have any friends who are like, oh, I'm just gonna, go home and sit. Like, no, everyone is working because they have bills to pay.
Right. So here's the thing. We've got to change that narrative.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's incumbent upon us as this generation to show them that's not who we are. You were wrong. So it's things like just getting out to vote.
Yeah.
It's things like running for office and being the youngest elected borough councilwoman. It's running for lieutenant governor. It's serving your community, right? Just yesterday, my kids and I were at the Spartan Community Center in Hazelwood doing a community service project. In honor of Martin Luther King, but this is something that we do all the time.
Yeah.
We serve our community, and I think when I was there yesterday, the vast majority of the people there were millennials.
Yeah.
So we've got to change the narrative, and so my advice is do that by participating in any way that makes you feel good. Whether that's running for office, whether that's serving your community, let's flip the script. Let's show them what we really are.
I agree with that, absolutely.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about your ideas to streamline the pardon process.
So the pardons process is one in which it's so out of reach for so many people.
Yeah.
It's expensive.
Yeah.
If you have a marijuana charge and you're living in poverty, guess what? You're not going to be able to afford a pardon.
Yeah.
You can go sit in on a class and learn about it, but you're not going to be able to afford the attorney's fees. You're not going to be able to afford to sit before a judge.
You won't have the resources to properly represent your case.
It's not going to be a reality for you. And that's entirely unfair. We are setting people up for failure. Mm-hmm. So I think that one of the best ways to do that is to make it affordable. Right? Make it something that's actually within reach for the...
Why have it if it's not,
Right.
Yeah.
Why have a process that the vast majority of Pennsylvanians can't even participate in?
Yeah.
So, that's where we have to start. We have to start electing people that have lived out our values, because when we talk about things like pardons, I don't know that we've ever elected a lieutenant governor that's had the unique past that I have.
Yeah.
And I think it's a really interesting perspective to have when we talk about these things. And so we can absolutely streamline the process. We can make it more one that's affordable for people to actually take advantage of.
Yeah.
And, you know, in doing that, we just have to remember that we've got to elect people that understand what it really means.
Yeah.
So who is someone that you has inspired you to take this path of leadership in life?
So I can't think of just one.
Was it Hillary Clinton? I saw your picture.
And my baby.
Yes, I love it. It's so cute.
I'm probably going to surprise you and not pick anybody that's famous.
Yeah.
Because no one famous has really had an impact on my life.
Yeah.
Right? The people that have had impact are my mom, who worked 3 waitressing jobs.
Yes.
And led our family. My basketball coach in high school that was also my guidance counselor and was like, actually, Aryanna, you can go to college. And here's how. Right?
Those people have so much effect on the outcome of a young
they
life.
They do, and
people take it for granted more often
right.
than they should.
And they show you what being a leader means. It doesn't mean being, everybody knowing your name.
Yeah, it means making an impact on those who, everyone really.
Yeah,
and a little bit of guidance.
Exactly. I think about Staff Sergeant Merritt in the Army. He, there are times as a young woman. You're 19 years old, you're going to war. You're not confident that you're going to do a good job or even know what you're supposed to do.
I can't imagine what it was like to be you at that point in time, especially the state of the country.
Exactly. So
terrifying. Thank you so much for serving us.
Well, look, it's my honor. I would do it again. And I would do it again because of guys like Staff Sergeant Merritt. Because he made me feel confident in who I am and actually showed me what leadership is. And so I take all of these little things from all of these people who have made such an impact on my life and go, I loved how they led this way. I love how they made me feel confident. I love how they gave me an opportunity to lead. And that's my type of leadership. And those are the people that make an impact on who I am.
That's awesome.
So how can somebody get involved in your campaign if they want to help out?
We're all over. But join Aryanna. And
you got to check out our YouTube channel, seriously. It's awesome.
Aryanna. So joinaryanna.com. I'm on Instagram, and sometimes the kids, like Cameron's here with me today, take over my Instagram page.
That's awesome.
I let them do it, and I give them free range. I'm like, go ahead, have fun. And so that's at _Berringer. And Twitter. I'm trying to get better at Twitter. It's not really like the medium that I'm good at.
We're not good at it either.
Yeah, it must have skipped us.
Young people.
Yeah.
It's the really young millennials who are really into Twitter.
Yeah, there's like so I'm trying to get better at Twitter.
It's a day-by-day process.
Exactly. I'm really good. I love Instagram. I'm on Facebook. I love to participate. But yes, join the campaign, because here's the thing. The only way that we are going to change the way that our policies are driven, the way that the kind of leadership that we have, is by investing in young people and by joining campaigns like mine. So I'd love your help.
Yeah, anyone who's willing to get in the process. I think that's another thing we've been talking about in making a new identity for the Democratic Party, because a lot of people are, younger, don't feel like it's...
They're scared of the label.
Yeah, they're scared of the label.
Yeah. And we're way more than that.
Yeah.
And here in Pennsylvania, I really just think that we've got to show them who we are.
Yeah.
And you guys are doing it by doing this show, by being engaged, by being elected. Like, these are the things that will start to make us, have more of a presence in politics in Pennsylvania.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So onward together.
Yes.
Thank you for being here.
Oh my gosh, thank you for having me. This is great.
All right. So check out joinaryanna.com to get involved with her campaign.